Hello again, everyone. November the 15th. Well, it's been a while since US elections, and I mentioned already in my last video, I'm very happy that I was wrong with my assumption. And thank you, America. Thank you, all you wonderful people. You made it happen. The big change is on its way. So I wanted to go see and what I could learn, what I didn't see. And honestly, I really didn't go that deep into it. I mean, it's also a time issue. All the research takes time. Anyway, that's what I found. Well, first of all, let me start here. First of all, on November the 5th, we were on this day here for Imish, the red self-existing dragon, the first of 20 core days. Actually today, as we are recording this, we are here on 1 Chuen, which is the blue magnetic monkey, which starts this coming 13 days sequence. So anyway, you see, this is the core column. This is the most intense within the Mayan calendar, where literally we are pushed into the now, where the past and the future overlap, where really it comes down to this moment which can change everything. And that's why it was foreseeable that what would happen on the 5th of November would be definitely a life-changing experience, would set us on a whole new course. This was clear from the beginning. I expected it to go more slow. Naturally, the bigger picture, I always have said, we would get to the right place, the right people would be in power finally. I thought it would take till next May. I was wrong. I'm very happy for that. So let's see what I found. So I was thinking about it, what would be the best chart to use as a chart for that day, for that event, and I decided for the sunrise chart in Philadelphia, which is the birthplace of the American nation. So naturally the sun is at the ascendant, Earth at the descendant. Then we have a wide Venus-Moon conjunction here, and very particular, the part of fortune is exactly conjunct the moon. Well, that is kind of how it's going with a sunrise chart, I guess I should say. So this is not so special after all, but still it emphasizes Venus and the moon in Sagittarius, close to the galactic center. Actually, the galactic center would be pretty much here at the middle of the two. Then what I was talking in my recording, I'm touching on, at least in my last one, was the Mars-Pluto opposition, which many people, many astrologers had kind of feared something bigger, negative would manifest. I was not thinking along that line, particularly because we simultaneously had a Venus-Jupiter opposition. Now, I have learned working with what's called planetary pictures, which are symmetries in the chart. So if you have two oppositions, then you have to look at the shared symmetry axis, which would be here in between Venus and Pluto, or Mars, Jupiter and Mars, which is at 10 degrees in cardinal. Now, first of all, if we take this midpoint here, which is the same, just 90 degrees different, then you have a planetary picture of Pluto-Jupiter resonates with Venus-Mars. Now this changes the whole take on this Pluto-Saturn opposition, in my opinion, because now we have these four planets working together. Venus and Mars, whenever they will have their midpoint activated, is something creative, something which wants to burst forward into creation. And it happens that the midpoint was where the last eclipse happened, 10-11 degrees in Libra on October the 2nd. So this degree already had been very much empowered. So this would speak for a new creation coming forth, and Pluto and Jupiter is fast evolution, something which is growing at rocket speed. So that changes naturally everything I in retrospect was thinking along that line. That would make much more sense. Now, this is just the beginning. This is bear with me now. Now we go into the heliocentric chart of that moment. Sunrise. Again, the same chart, just from the sun's perspective, when we have Jupiter at 13 degrees 25 minutes in Gemini. Now, I'm jumping forward to the New World chart, the American's birth chart, which literally, as I mentioned many times, is literally the birth of the new world, which we are just maturing into, really. And what you have here, the descendant at 1313. So heliocentric Jupiter. Now heliocentric is the universal energy, the universal law, you could call it, that which is brought in frequency, which we then can manifest in whatever ways are able. And naturally, because of the perspective difference, we see it through our angle, which is the geocentric view, which shifts everything a little around. But this is the background energy, the universal law, the universal current, with Jupiter in that degree of the 7th house cusp of the American chart. This in itself would have been a clear marker that something expansive and positive is occurring on that day. I'm just having the overlay here first with the geocentric, the heliocentric chart of that moment, inside again the natal chart. Outside the heliocentric, here you see it, Jupiter exactly here. There's a few more really interesting symmetries going on in this chart. You can always pause it, screenshot, and look at it more closely yourself. Naturally, one thing which stood out and which was clear already a while ago was this repeating Chiron-Juno opposition. See, by transit, they are almost in the same place. So this is a critical opposition in the base chart, which I many times mentioned. It's literally the shows the division which has been artificially created in human population. And again, this is much vaster naturally than the United States, but that's the example we are looking at here, where it's very particularly showing, you know, black, white, red, blue, yeah, now even men, women, and I mean, it is something which we have to get the hold on. We have to learn to see what has been imprinted on us, how we have been conditioned to not treat every human being alike, as a brother, sister, as it should be. Because an easy way to really overcome this kind of distance is if you imagine every of these human beings once was a child, and I mean children are easy to love. If we look at everyone through those eyes, then it's becoming a little bit easier, and that is the path we are on. This Chiron Juno opposition has been very, very strong and emphasized this year, so it was clear that we would move in this direction, and this is actually what will be really grinding the wheels in the next few months, and more people are included in this knowing of what's going on, and this is really the big breakthrough we're now seeing in the next few months, of everybody really having to come up to speed. There's no if and but anymore, because all the fake channels and voices are really coming to stop. The real, definitely I would say more real, we don't know exactly, but there's much more backup to what we usually look at, what truth is. Again, truth is an absolute term, and every truth we so far can experience in our human lives is relative, so we have really to know that only what we really can see and feel and directly experience is totally real. The rest is all hearsay to some degree. But Mars here, heliocentric, on the pretty much same degree as the natal Mars. Mercury is at its opposition point. So these two planets emphasized, doubled up, would mean yes, it's a time to start speaking up and showing your opinion. That's kind of what Mars Mercury is. It is when we get active in thinking, talking, expressing. And with the opposition here to Mercury, there is some perspective, some deeper insight. Mercury also here teaming up with Pluto, and the natal Pluto here in the center. So it is about kind of boosting one's intellectual capacities. That's what Mercury Pluto always shows, that one is pushed to open one's eyes and see more and integrate. Pluto always asks for change, for shift, so it's shifting our mind's perspectives around when we allow to go along. The 13 degrees something, or the 14th degree here is emphasized, as I mentioned in my earlier video, very strongly here. That's the sunrise sunset axis of the day. That is the natal Sun, Earth, and here in the center you have Jupiter, the ascendant and the descendant and the ascendant. So this is again a symmetry, a powerful symmetry, which you could say in this place, on this day, there is the experience of expansion, and it is in balance, in line with the greater experience of that nation. Now, if we overlay with the geocentric for another short moment here, then we see transit Jupiter, as seen from Earth, is on Mars, again emphasizing Mars, but also Venus and the Moon are here. Again, that creative energy, Venus-Mars opposition, actually pretty exact, which emphasizes what I already mentioned before, of that creative impulse which is breaking through. There's also quite some difficult energies in this chart on this day. The black moon was one I focused on in my view before, and black moon here with Saturn. There's definitely a big part of population, I think that's how it is to be understood, who definitely went through some deep disappointment, as it's always the case. So this is a sign of that kind of a sobering experience, coming to face reality in a more clear and clean way. Okay, now the next chart I did was the midpoint chart, and this is particularly telling. That is that day's chart, the heliocentric, and the base chart, also the heliocentric, the midpoints. And if you now see here, we have midpoint Jupiter pretty much exactly on the ascendant. So there's many things going on here. Also Mars on the other side on the descendant, and then we have the big grand square here also with the natal sun, the days, the midpoint, sun and earth. Yeah, that's all midpoints. Interesting, that is also the degree where Saturn is stationing today. Again, all these charts, naturally, they pretty much speak for that particular time for the American birth chart. It all seems to really resonate. I mean, this grand square, that is strong action in the right direction, very fiery and decisive, with Uranus and Jupiter both here just at the ascendant. And again, midpoint, that is the time space midpoint between these two base charts. The symmetry, the hinge where these two energies meet, how the American nation experiences this day in history, that 5th of November, that's basically what that means, where they touch on each other, the base energy and the present energy. It's a very powerful tool to use. So if we okay, I wanted to show this chart first. Okay, that's the same one we just looked at on the outside, and the inside is the base chart, and the center is the days chart of the 5th of November. That is this one. So once more, just you see that this midpoint opposition Mars, Uranus and Jupiter, midpoint Sun, Earth here with the Saturn, transiting Saturn right here. So this also would show us that some basic structural changes are implemented on that day. Makes total sense. Venus here, midpoint on this opposition I just touched on before, Chiron and Juno. Excuse me. So it is already on its way. I guess this day showed it that yes, people are starting to see how important it is to support and stand with each other, regardless of what color and what name. It's doing the right thing, being together, helping, serving the greater good. That's what it boils down to. I had a quick peek into the 2020 elections. I was just curious if my technique would work there too. And sure enough, I found quite something. So again, this is the sunrise chart for that day when everything went wrong finally, not immediately, but as we know, that was my fear. So first of all, there was a Sun-Uranus opposition on that day. Then the easiest is to see it in the composite again. That is the composite or the midpoint chart. Interesting that the choice of that early November always seems to bring the midpoint Sun and Earth into the center line for some reason. You see the repetition of the pattern here. This is the midpoint of 2024. This is the midpoint of 2020. Now in the overlay it's easiest really to see what is difficult. Yes, Saturn is here, but not quite exactly. Saturn is actually here. But what is very strong is the black moon midpoint is very, very close to the natal sun. Actually, the midpoint of black moon and south node is here on the sun, which would clearly say yes, the past is haunting us on that day. Then it was right here, the midpoint midheaven and the black moon and this whole group here. The center point of this axis is here on the energy of the day, Earth and Sun of that 3rd of November 2020 chart. So yes, this is probably the clearest signature here. That is midheaven is what's clearly visible from that interaction between then and now. This is the base energy of the nation in a way, who they are. The sun is central always, and that is experienced on that day as all that past haunting us. I guess that's what one really could say. Interesting here that the midpoint moon, no, sorry, that is the day's moon, here is on the descendant and tying into this figure here. The moon is pretty much the midpoint here of this Earth Uranus, and here the sun and the black moon. Anyway, you see there's definitely a very, very different flavor in this configuration than was in this one, with this Jupiter strong emphasized in multiple ways. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick update on my personal insights, following up on what I didn't see. Anyway, that's it for now. Yes, it's wonderful to be in that new energy. From now on, we will definitely see much more of the bright new potentials to start showing up in real, and more of the old is crumbling away. All it needs is us to be in our power and to take charge and to know that we are responsible for the new world to come in. Without us, nothing will happen. So be in that driver's seat, take on the invitation the cosmos is giving us, particularly as of today with this Saturn station. That is actually the last chart I wanted to quickly show you, is the station of Saturn for Philadelphia, for the American nation in that sense. Interesting is that 13 degrees 45 at midheaven, that is their natal sun. Yes, it shows this is a particularly powerful 7-month period we're getting into of restructuring, as I laid out in my previous video. Also the ascendant here, that is the degree of the eclipse again. As you remember, the 1102 was the eclipse of October the 2nd, so that links into that energy too, which was all about breaking open the shadows and revealing everything and giving us the courage with Maki Maki. So exactly on the eclipse degree, Maki Maki giving us that readiness to face danger and to go through treacherous waters and be in that sacred masculine energy of testing the limits, I would call it. Okay, I leave it at this, and actually there's one more chart, the midpoint I made with these two charts, the Saturn station and the New World chart for Philadelphia, naturally. And here what really shows again is the how it links back to the 5th of November chart. Look at that. Here we have 2105 in the midheaven here, and that was the election chart. So whatever the election was will now be stabilized, emphasized, put in place, and the stationary Saturn here in the 13th degree of Pisces, the nation's natal sun in the 14th degree of Cancer here, make a perfect trine. It's really telling us that yes, all structures will be rebuilt from the base up. That is what these 7 months will be about, and it is about bringing in that divine willpower, channeling it and expressing, giving this divine energy a form, a voice, an expression. Thank you for being here, for joining, and I will see when I get to talk about Pluto entering Aquarius next. Super exciting. On the 19th of November, just a few days away. Thanks for being here. Love you all. If you like to support me, just below, and there's also always links you can follow up on. See you again. Thank you.